The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
Last week, 500 Georgia Demo Day was held in Tbilisi, during which startups pitched their businesses to the jury. 500 Georgia is Georgia's first international acceleration program designed to promote entrepreneurship, help develop the tech ecosystem, connect with international networks, and help participating companies with their fundraising. 500 Georgia operates based on the partnership between 500 Global, GITA, and the Bank of Georgia. Our analyst, Georgy Aronia, sat down to talk with Pedro Vieira, Director of Operations and Startup Programs at 500 Global, about the accelerator's recent batch, their demo day, and the organization's plans for this year in Georgia.
Pedro, hi. It's always a pleasure to have you here, especially after the recent demo day. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here again.
Given that the latest demo day is now in the books, what could we say about it? Could you summarize it?
Yeah, so the demo day is a culmination of 12 weeks of hard labor with the companies, where we take them through different stages of evolution. We divide it in 3 main phases. Phase 1, we talk about foundational things like customer development, business development. We help them create, say, the foundational layer for growth. That's 2 weeks, roughly. And then they go and work for about 8 weeks remotely from their home base on what we call growth experiments. So they test different things on how to grow faster, how to sell more, how to grow more efficiently with the help of our mentors. Then they come back for a phase 3, which is what leads up to the demo day. And in that phase, we focus more on aspects of fundraising strategy. How do they go and fundraise more to continue fueling the growth that they start experiencing during the program. And then we have demo day, which is a big event with local and international audience, where we expose them to the world and expose the world to them, and hope to start some conversations, not just with other investors, international investors and local investors, but also with other partners and people who can or may be interested in helping them with their services and their solutions.
Pedro, given that you just summarized basically the whole acceleration process structurally, I want to ask you about your summary emotional as well. How did you and other team members engage with the founders during this process?
Yeah, well, it's certainly several of periods of different emotions, especially throughout the program. What we're experiencing, especially during these times, is that we were able to create a batch of very diverse nature, and we have founders from different countries, and Georgia is a very safe environment for us to bring all of these together. And so we've been seeing several companies collaborate in their growth cross borders. So it's been very emotional in that sense, that we see people of different cultures, different countries collaborating with each other in their growth.
With the demo day now over, what are the next steps for founders and their companies?
Yeah, so well, certainly continuing this growth that we've seen so far. Several companies have experienced 2-3x growth in their key metrics.
Oh, wow.
So we're very happy with that. And so we certainly want them to continue that growth. Many of them are winning in their regional or their local markets. Now we want to see them continuing that growth cross-border, cross-country or internationally, if you will. And so we'll continue supporting that. And then for that to continue, we also know that all of them will have need to fundraising. So we are also continuously supporting our portfolio companies to connect with other investors that will follow up on our investment and help fuel the growth that we kickstarted with a program like this.
I want to ask you about that recent point. Could you put 500 Georgia into perspective with 500 Global? And what is the community like? And could the startups that participated in 500 Georgia engage somehow with global startups?
Yeah, certainly. 500 Georgia is 500 Global. I know we have a family of funds around the world, and we brand them differently based on the region or the country, but we're all 500 Global portfolio. We have more than 2,700 funded companies around the world, 80 plus countries, and all of them are connected through a series of platforms. We have over 5,000 founders for these companies. They're all connected through a multitude of platforms. They can collaborate, can help each other enter different markets, learn on how to do certain things, and then not just connect with other founders, but they can also connect with a series of other experts who are or live and work and operate within these 500 communities. And in our staff, we have like close to 200 people around the world with different fields of expertise that can also help the founders. So the 500 Georgia founders have access to all of this as any other 500 global founder.
Would you mind comparing Georgian founders and their startups, their products, to those global or European or American startups?
Yeah. I mean, I don't like to single out different nationalities, especially because the program does include, as I was saying, several other countries. But what we see is in the Georgian founders that are in this batch, as the other founders in the batch, is that they're very ambitious, driven teams that have already demonstrated some success in their market, and they're driven to continue that growth outside that market to build global plays. We are investing in teams that we believe can grow to much more than just the Georgian market. So what we see in the Georgian founders that we've selected for this batch is exactly that. They're already doing very good things here in the market in Georgia, but they're also ready to start doing, going global, and we'll love to support that mission.
Now, when we look in retrospect to the recent batch, could you highlight some trends in terms of the sectors that companies originate from? I understand that all of them are tech related, but are there any trends within the tech sector?
Yeah, I mean, we avoid investing in trends or in popular. We invest in things that we know or demonstrate that are solving a big problem. And in this batch, we have a series. Like, we actually have several edtech companies, for example. It just happens that we had pretty strong candidates in the edtech field or vertical, and so we picked a couple. We have companies in fintech. We have companies in retail tech. So it's pretty diverse. Web3, several companies that are using AI and leading edge technology in different verticals, say for sales or for HR. So a very diverse batch. And this is going to continue being the trend. We are a diversified portfolio, or we're building a diversified portfolio. So we'll continue investing in a bunch of different things.
Out of those you just mentioned, in your opinion, which sectors have the most growth potential in Georgia, for instance?
I think, honestly, all of them have growth potential in Georgia, but what matters the most for us is the growth potential regionally. And in that scenario, all of them have huge potential. And some of them have huge potential because they are unique. Like, we have several companies that are applying like leading edge technology that almost no one in the world has. And there are others that are solving problems that were solved elsewhere with a proven business model. But these founders have local insights, they have the regional networks that the global players don't have. And we believe that these local teams can win over the global players. So we'll always have this these two buckets of bets that we make. And we'll see. I think the time will prove if we're right.
Another fascinating thing about 500 Georgia is that when I looked at the batch, I saw a lot of founders that are not from Georgia. Could we say that 500 Georgia somehow transformed into a regional startup accelerator?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 500 Georgia is a regional program. We chose Georgia because we believe that given its nature, its conditions, local condition situation, its friendly attitude towards all the neighboring countries in the broader region, makes it a super interesting place for us to set up the regional hub. But we will continue attracting international talent. We will continue working with all the local talent and as much local talent as we can. We collaborate with the local investors, with the local accelerators, with the local angel investors, because we want to foster the Georgian ecosystem. But this is a regional program, so we'll continue getting more founders. In this batch, we have Armenian founders, Azerbaijani founders, Uzbek founders. Georgian founders all working together, and like that is amazing in today's times, right?
So just to clarify from technical side, how can, so basically Azerbaijani startup can freely apply to 500 Georgia, or they have to be present and operating in Georgia?
They have to have some connection to Georgia. Either they already also are operating in Georgia as an entity, or they are tackling the Georgian market. So there has to be some involvement of the company actively operating. I think that's how we define it in Georgia in the broader region. So that's how the connection happens for this batch.
Okay, let's announce the future batch. When will you open the applications for startups?
So we will open actually the applications are open since demo day. So the website is live. If you follow our URL, you will be able to apply immediately. And now is the time.
And my last question would be, what would be your advice to founders and the startups that are applying?
Yeah.
What are the qualities that you look most in startups?
Yeah. Well, first let me say you should apply as early as possible, as soon as possible. This is a process that takes time. We'll ask for a series of information that's detailed, and you can't just wing it, as we say, right? So you should prepare, and you should go check out the forms, the application forms, and start preparing. When you apply, we'll have a process with several webinars also where we go into more detail about the criteria that we use to select the companies. But I would say at a very high level, the key things are always show us in a very simple, concise way that the problem you're solving is something that a large number of people is worth paying to see solved. Then show us that you can solve it in a really unique way compared to all the other players out there. Or, as I was saying earlier, that you can do it with regional insights or local insights that give you an edge or create a moat over the global players, therefore you can do it here. If we see this, if we see that there's a team market fit, I always refer to this, it's very important. We know product market fit comes later in the stage for the companies that we bring on board. But it's very, very important for me to understand, is this the right team for this problem? So if you apply and you explain this very clearly, you're already like halfway through the selection process. And then, you'll have all the interviews with myself and the team to determine if you're the right company for our batch.
Well, Pedro, thank you very much for the interview, and thanks to 500 Georgia and your sponsors, your friends, for basically developing the Georgia startup ecosystem.
Well, thank you so much for hosting us so well, and we're happy that we're going to continue this journey for a long time.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.